What's going on, guys? It's a beautiful, well, I say beautiful, it's actually hot and muggy day down here in North Carolina, and if you guys can see behind me a little bit, you might have just a slight clue of where it is I'm at. Now, as much as I'd love to say I drove all the way down here just to hang out with Nick and Maddie, not the case. We ended up going down to Timberlake to Roxborough Motorsports Park, where I'm going to be having the next race next weekend. So I went out there to hand out flyers, put up posters, all that kind of stuff. I even made a radio commercial.
No Prep Drag Racing comes to Roxborough Motorsports Park this weekend, July 15th and 16th. Friday night, no buy-in, $500 to win, small tire door cars only. Saturday, tailgate class, all motors, stick shift, small block nitrous, 7080 index. Going down this weekend, No Prep Racing, Roxborough Motorsports Park. Be there.
So we got the radio commercial up and running, and I had the ladder bars with me. So I hit up Nick, came down here to where he was at, and I think what we're going to do today is try to build a set of ladder bars for the car. Been a little struggle trying to find everything I need, the exact dimensions, specifications, everything. I actually have another set of ladder bars that I picked up on the way that I still don't think are right. So we decided probably best course of action is going to be just to build a set. I'm going to end up with something stronger, maybe possibly a little more adjustable. Either way, we're going to have some fun, build some race car parts, and should be a good day. Now, if you guys don't know what it is you're looking at behind me here, make sure you go check out Hustlin Horespower, their YouTube channel. This is the truck that Nick is currently building. He's built all kinds of wild stuff. If you remember way back in the day, the sketchy truck, the Dirty 30, the Homegrown Hustler, all that. And this is his latest creation going on back here that he's hoping to be racing at Dig or Die in like 2 weeks. So what I'm planning on doing today is, it's pretty hot outside. He has to work on the truck outside right now, so I don't think we're going to do too much on the truck. Maybe go inside where it's a little bit cooler and work on these ladder bars. But I would like to see how much of these ladder bars I can build myself. Problem with Nick, he's my boy, but he's the kind of guy that'll tell you to do something and then 10 seconds later step in there and show you how to do it. So I'm going to battle Nick today and see if we can't, if I can't go ahead and do the majority of this stuff by myself. So let's get in there and figure out what's going on with these ladder bars. To build the new ladder bars, we decided the easiest way was going to be build a jig. Using the old ladder bars template, we welded 3 bolts to the table on the 3 mounting points of the previous ladder bar. Some of the stuff in the center might change, as we're using a thicker chrome moly, 1.5 inches for the bottom bar instead of the 1-inch OD steel that was used before. So those distances of the actual steel bar might change slightly, but as long as the 3 mounting points line up, we should be okay. Now, as far as left to right, they may be a little different in order to square it up in the car, but if we build this properly, we'll have enough adjustment everywhere we need to that none of that is going to be an issue, and we should have no problem squaring it up. We had just enough of the 1.5 inch tubing to build the 2 ladder bars with not a whole lot to spare. I measured probably 16 times before I made that first cut, just because I knew if we were going to have any issues and the cut was wrong, it was going to take us a while to get replacement tube to continue to build the bars. When building something and not having the vehicle there, the test fitting and refitting and test fitting is absolutely crucial. We probably did this 20 million times throughout the day, but it ended up that both of these bars came out exactly where they needed to be, and I was able to cut them and have the little bit of excess that we were planning on having and none to spare. All right, so explain what we're doing here. We're gonna
basically put some plug welds in here. So these are just some removable magnetic jaws in here, so you could easily hold tubing, and also holds the tubing off the base. So like when we're drilling it, we'll go through and like
we can actually drill through and not.
So I'll go through and mark. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it's pretty close.
What we're going to do is we're going to drill straight through this tube, then a cross pattern here. Drill straight through in a cross pattern, so that way when the tube end goes in, it gets butt welded around, but then we've also got some plug welds
So like you drill it all the way through, and then you basically, when you go to weld it, you weld the inside lip of here to the bung itself. And those bungs are whatever, I think they're 80, 100 thousandths thick, something like that. So pretty thick material here, so you can really basically do it so it locks in there. So you don't want to have the stress on the weld itself. So when you lock it in there, it can't, like, it literally has to rip through this tubing if it was trying to like decompress. So on this one here, this is the lower bar here, so it's trying to compress. The upper bar is a little more important to have the rosette welds, or the rosette welds do a little more work on the upper bar, because the upper bar is where it's trying to pull apart because of the way the pinion angle is rotating. So here, this bar is essentially trying to compress, and the upper bar is what's trying to like rip apart. It's not nearly as critical, but like.
But we're here, and we might as well.
It's the right thing to do.
Yep.
After a quick hands-on lesson with the drill press, I was able to get to work on starting to get these holes drilled out for the plug welds. I hadn't used a drill press like this before, super finite measurement, there's a ton of cool stuff you can do with it, and I would love to have access to these sort of tools close to home. It's really nice to go all the way down south and catch up with my buddy. I can tell you guys stories upon stories that, you know, crazy stuff that Nick and I have done together, traveling the road, different places, all kinds of stuff. So it's good for us to catch up, but it's also nice to have everything you need right there where you need it, so you can build something completely from scratch and do it the right way. I could probably replicate some of this stuff at home, but it's much, much easier when you've got the proper tools right there at your disposal. After another quick test fit, it was time to go ahead and get these tack welded in. We were going to start by just tacking them in place, so if anything went wrong in the future, or we figured out that somehow the 20 times we measured we were wrong, we could go ahead and cut it off and redo it if need be. A couple quick tacks and we were on our way. I was very, very happy to be getting to build these by hand, by myself, and I could look under the car and say, you know what, I welded those, I built those, I did all of this stuff hands-on. And although buying a set of ladder bars would have been much easier than driving 8 hours to go hang out with a friend to do it down there, I probably wouldn't pass up the opportunity if I had it. I passed the Nick Pluniak weld test, good enough for a race car. I was feeling pretty good about how everything was going together, so it was time to start getting the top bars lined out. I went ahead and cut those, got the heims in place, and started plotting and planning where we were going to put our brackets, because instead of tying the entire ladder bar together, we decided we were going to use a bracket on top, and I went to work on getting those drilled out, everything fitted and worked together so we can get the heims in, and then I could possibly get those tacked together. The second time I did this, went through drilling all the holes for the plug welds, went a little bit quicker than the first time. The old man that owned the shop walked in, saw me doing it, and said, "Hey, you know that thing's got more than one speed, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." Well, that was my sign to go ahead and use the other speed. So I got it knocked out a little bit quicker than the last time. Not to say that the other speed wasn't better, it's all a give and take. When it came time to actually file down the inside so I can go ahead and get the tube end in there again, it took a little bit more hand filing to get it nice, good, smooth surface so that the tube ends would slide in and out easily. So if you go a little bit slower, On the drilling, there's a little bit less cleanup, but if you go a little bit faster on the drilling, there's a little more cleanup. It's all a give and take. I'm sure there's a happy medium somewhere in there where you can find what works best for you.
Alright, just finished up some grub, but we got good news. We got 4 bars. We've got upper and lower bars that are all good to go. I welded them all the way up, so those are ready. Right now, I've got to go through, unfortunately, we only had one of these brackets, or one of these tabs to weld on, so I have to make the other 3. So I went through, drilled out the holes, got them all sorted, and now I'm going to go through and sand them down, so that way they at least have some kind of shape to them. This is going to be pretty cool because what we're going to be able to do is we're going to have these tabs up here, and then this top bar is going to spin, and it's going to allow me to adjust pinion angle on the fly very easily. Not something I was able to do with the old ladder bars. It just kind of was what it was unless I took it all the way apart. Here we've got left hand, right hand thread, so I can just spin it in and out, make adjustments on the fly. We're not going to be able to, what I would say, completely finish this here. What I mean is when we get this back to the house and get it back up in the car, I'm going to have to do something to center it. The old ladder bar had a diagonal bar to center it. I may do something similar, or I may just tie them all in together. I'm not sure yet, but the one thing that I do know is I can't do it until I have it in the car and we can get accurate measurements. We're not going to be able to, you know, I don't have the measurements on me, so I don't want to build something and then go to set it in and realize it's not right. It's going to be easier to put them both in individually and then go ahead and either tie them together, you know, however I decide I want to center it. There's a number of ways to do it. It's just we're going to get back home, figure out what way works best for the setup and what way works best for me. So I'm going to sand these down and then weld them on, and then after that these ladder bars are going to be done. So we came out to the Carolinas, had some fun, built some ladder bars, and what I plan to do, I don't have to leave until tomorrow, so I want to go ahead and help Nick out with his truck because I know he is on a timeline crunch. He's trying to make it to dig or die. He's got a whole bunch of work to do, and I think if I can give him a little bit of a hand working on his truck, it's going to help him get along a little farther too.
One final test fit, and it was time to put it all together. We kept going back and forth on the distance, on how we wanted everything. As you can see, that lower bottom bar is not centered quite yet, but we ended up fixing that up, getting it to a position where it was neutral, and then I went ahead and welded those tabs on. Now, if you're going to weld those tabs on, don't be like me. The first one that I welded on, I left the heim in, and some of those heims have a Teflon coating. And I got the Teflon coating a little hot. It's still good. It's not loose. It's not moving around in there. But I will end up having to replace that heim joint a little bit sooner than I would have liked because of the damage I did. I found out later on, better idea would have been to put some kind of spacer in there instead of welding it with the heim joint in. But we got it done, got it all welded together, got the tabs on there, and everything was looking good to go.
Well, we have got ourselves 2 sets of new ladder bars. One set, yeah. 2 ladder bars, 1 pair, 1 set, exactly. So, 110% made by hand. Nick helped me out a bunch on just getting everything set up, making sure I was doing it right every step along the way. Any questions I had.
You did it though.
Right, but I did it. Hands on. Made it happen. Cut everything. Even when somebody cut a 20-inch bar at 31 inches, we still managed to get it right. I wonder who that was. He was at his math limit. But we got it done, so now I get to take it home. And like I said, I'm going to have to do something for centering, maybe cross bracing. I'm not sure what I'm going to do just yet, but that's going to be more once we get it in the car. It'll be a lot easier to figure out.
Once you get it squared up in the car, and you can figure out if you're able to do like a cross brace in there, or
right,
the drive shaft clearances and stuff like that.
Exactly, with the drive shaft in the way. I have to do an alignment when I get back home anyway, because we changed the front travel and all the front suspension stuff. So it'll be nice to, I can probably put those 2 in, square up the rear, do the alignment, and then figure out from there, can I do a crossbar? Do I have to do, like a panhard bar? What am I going to have to do to center it up? Anyway, what?
How much travel does it have in the back?
In the back? It's got quite a bit in the back. It separates a lot in the rear. So I was thinking.
Have to do like a diagonal bar, then just have a panhard bar.
Yeah.
Panhard bar might start pulling it over.
Yeah, it had a diagonal bar on the bottom to begin with, so we might go back.
Might be the best bet to go back to.
The good news is the diagonal bar doesn't have to be like the 1.5 inches. It doesn't have to be crazy large. We can get away with using a lot smaller bar, and that's something we can tackle over there at home once we get there. So Nick has got a whole bunch of welding to do on this chassis. I'm gonna hang out here for the night, help him out. Hopefully we'll get a bunch of this work done so he can be, what, dig or die in 2 weeks?
13 days.
13 days? Yeah. So.
No tin work, no electronics, no drivetrain, no this, no that, no brake pedal.
No brake pedal. We made the brake pedal over the last couple of days.
Yeah, last night.
Last night the brake pedal got made. So he's got his work cut out for him. So I'm gonna jump off the camera here, maybe weld a couple bars, do whatever needs to be done, so that way I can help get him a little bit further along, closer to his goal, because he has got something wicked planned for this thing. And I think
it's gonna be a bad man jammer.
It's gonna be. First of all, if you guys have ever, if you don't know Nick, for some strange reason, if you've never seen any of the stuff he builds, it's just like anything else he's ever built. Crazy, ridiculous, off the wall, with a whole bunch of advanced thought engineering and thought processes that go beyond, I think, what a lot of people even care to think about, and how to be successful in no prep. So it should definitely be.
With a little bit of testing, it should be a pretty bad man jam.
Yeah. So hopefully you can test before dig or die, but that means you would have to be done in like 11 days.
11 days.
So
give me 5 hits on it, and I think we can show up there with a hot rod.
All right.
5 hits.
Well, we ain't getting no hits unless we get this thing welded together. So let's get back to work. I'll catch you guys next time. I'm gonna head home after this and hopefully get this stuff mounted up and start getting it sorted out so I can get tested, because we still have not made a hit on the new engine yet. So it's a never-ending process. You fix one thing, something else breaks. You got to get that right. You just keep going until eventually you get it all right and everything is lined out and works like it's supposed to. I'll catch you guys next time. Thanks for tuning in.